Bindles, welcome, welcome. I had a full minute to share my screen like I was supposed to, and I didn't. I didn't, and here we go. All right, so we are waiting for 8. If you want to hang out or you want to join this draft, there is plenty of room. These drafts have been filling a little slower, I think, especially on the weekends with March Madness going on. People may be prioritizing other things than very sweaty pre-draft underdog contests, but not us. Not us. We are here in the trenches. But yes, Bindles, thank you for stopping by. I truly appreciate it. Being that we are waiting for 8 and this may take a second to fill, I can pull up my exposures for anyone curious here and see what I have been doing. I will limit this to just the big boards because otherwise it really skews the dollar amounts, and the little boards are a little different. This can't be right. This is not right. That's War Room. My God. I said if I had 50% Jackson Dart in the big room, in the big board, I am going to lose all my money. So let me try this again. $10. There we go. All right. So, oh God, I still have way too much Jackson Dart. So I thought Jackson Dart was going to start this year. And as the sort of QB musical chairs has played out, I am significantly more bearish on that outcome than I was months ago. I don't think it's a 0% chance. I think it's now a lot closer to 50-50. I was really hoping the dream landing spot was sort of the Jets at 7, take him. But now that they've added Justin Fields, the Jets could still take Dart at 7. And then Dart is, going to be the backup unless Fields stinks. He could end up getting drafted by the Saints, in which case he's going to back up Carr until the season tanks or Carr stinks. But if things are going well in New Orleans, then Dart would just sit the whole year probably. So there's a lot of landmines and a lot fewer good spots left for Dart, which in a 20 round contest, taking him is not the end of the world. But I was taking him as a third QB who I really thought would be playing by the end of the season, and now I'm definitely have a lot more concern than I did before. Past that, though, I don't mind it. I think Cam Ward is a little underpriced where he goes. I think he is very talented. He's going to start probably day one, if not very quickly. And then beyond that, the exposures are fairly flat. Looking at the running backs, I kind of went through a phase, as you can see here, with Brashard Smith was really in on him. He had a fast 40 at the combine. His other numbers weren't great. Converted wide receiver. I think he's the kind of guy that can carve out a role, so I'm happy there. Raheem Sanders, my clicking on him got a little out of control as I'm seeing at 29%. That's probably more Raheem Sanders than I want. I'm worried he's a little bit more of a guy that the best ball community likes and the actual NFL is going to like. Although I think when I started drafting him, I felt that was flipped. Sanders wasn't drafted in every draft. Now I see him going in most drafts. But, I don't think he's the worst round 20 or around, 17 to 20 flyer. But I don't know if I actually really want 30% of him. But being that I only have 15 drafts left, it is too late. Najee was, however, a win. I was taking him very early, and I'm pretty happy with getting to 25% of him, being that his ADP has risen significantly. Hubbard has become a bit of a my guy, and then after that, I feel like I mixed up these other rookies a lot. I'm definitely a Cam Scatabo slappy. I love him. I think I'm higher than him, higher on him than the market is. And then guys like Harvey, Jordan James feel like they've been kind of late risers, particularly Harvey. LaQuint Allen might be a little bit of a dud. He's definitely a pass blocking expert, at least as far as, this incoming class. He's one of the better rookies at it. So I still feel like he could get a job, but he didn't run at the combine, which is a little bit of a bummer. So I'm a little less excited about my LaQuint Allen shares than I was. And Ollie Gordon, I think at one point I had like 35% Ollie Gordon, and I just have essentially stopped taking him because he was slow, and there is negative draft buzz about Ollie Gordon the second. Moving over to wide receiver, Jack Betch. I love Jack Betch. I think he's going to find a role in the NFL quickly. I don't mind having 43% of him. I got a lot of him before he was drafted in every contest, which I feel good about. I'm happy to keep taking him. And then beyond that, again, I'm glad none of my exposures got too out of control, especially, these are Wilson and Worthy are two of my favorite clicks in the third to fourth round. I mean, Wilson was a guy we were taking in the first round. I think he's going to have better QB play, less target competition. Don't really understand his ADP. And Xavier Worthy, I'm a kind of a Rice bear. I have very little Rashee Rice. And I think even if Rice comes back, Worthy's proven receiver in the NFL. Once he learned the dimensions of the field, he got a lot better. Because if you remember the beginning of last year, my God, he did not know he either didn't know where his feet were, or he didn't know that like you had to get them within the lines of the field for a catch to count. So I got a buzz on my phone that we are up. So we will move over to our big board. I see I got the third spot, which I don't mind at all. Tiger Uppercut, welcome. Thank you for coming by. I see you there at the 9 hole. Not a spot that I mind drafting too much there, because I feel like you kind of control the board more than you do at the 12. That range between sort of the Puka BTJ neighbors, Nico. I feel like you can kind of take whoever your favorite is there if you have 9. So if you have a particular stand, you can kind of get your guy. So that to me is not the worst spot. As far as 3, it's a little weird, because if you end up in a wide receiver heavy room, if you take one of the running backs, you can end up a little bit frozen out. But I'm going to just not pass on Bijan Robinson at 3 and hope I can get a receiver I like. My main issue is that I really don't like Tyreek Hill. And if Ladd goes, then I either have to reach up to take like a Higgins or a JSN, or I have to go double running back start, which again, if Ladd's not there, you might be in a wide receiver heavy room, and it's a bad sign for finding receiver value later. But you know what? We don't want all our teams to look the same. So, I think it's a spot where you got to kind of take what the room gives you. So far, so good. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Justin Jefferson getting pulled up past this range of 3 running backs is not too uncommon at all. There's very often someone who wants a receiver, and the type of person to pull up a receiver past those backs is frequently the type who also loves Justin Jefferson. So Tiger Uppercut, you get Neighbors, who's actually my favorite in that room, and I was taking quite a bit of him even before the Jameis thing, which I really don't think is actually going to impact Neighbors all that much, at least not when it counts. If Winston is throwing to him in week 17, then things have not gone according to plan in New York. And who the heck knows? Maybe Jameis has really found something, and they're still playing competitive football, and you just have a monster season. But I personally, I would be very surprised, barring injury or complete. Well, actually, no, not even failure, because they're probably going to have a rookie. And it would be unlikely the rookie would be so bad they'd bench the rookie and go back to Jameis. So I really just don't think it's likely that he'll be impactful. Winston will chuck it if nothing else. Yeah. I mean, I think, I think the like 60 IQ and the 140 IQ take is both like Winston Winston to Neighbors go Burr for weeks, 1 through 4, 1 to 6, and then you could like mid IQ it and be like, no, it doesn't matter. But I do think that that the Winston signing is good. I just, if we're playing for the playoff weeks, I don't think it's actually gonna like matter all that much late in the season. So there we go. Bowers going at 14, which to me is a little early. I would be very happy for myself to get Brown or Ladd. We will see what we get. Tiger, I see you taking Achane. Makes sense. Okay, so both the receivers I was excited to potentially take have gone. So I will have to decide what I want to do here. We'll see what old Sully Boy 86 does. Jonathan Taylor going. So he takes Tyreek. I think I'm just going to take JSN here. I think my plan is going to be to take two wide receivers in this range, unless they all really go, and then I get a falling value on a Bucky Irving. So yeah, it is a tough spot. I really don't love drafting at the 3 unless I get lucky with a receiver coming around, which is why I think a lot of people take Jefferson in that top 4, because you feel at least like if you're worried about wide receiver firepower, which like the best ball intelligentsia tells you need to worry about, then you feel like you have a lot more flexibility if your first pick is Jefferson versus your first pick being Saquon, Gibbs, or Bijan. But I like JSN a lot. I mean, I think his biggest target competition has left, and they're going to probably bring someone else in past Cooper Kupp. But, there is worry that Kupp and JSN play kind of the same position. JSN's best out of the slot. Kupp plays out of the slot. But I can't imagine if Kupp really stinks, they're not going to tank their team just to shoehorn in like a dusty veteran. Like I think teams are smarter than that. So we are up, and I think I'm going to continue to put my money where my mouth is and take Garrett Wilson over T. Higgins. I see the allure in Higgins, but I think as far as ceiling seasons, I think a mega smash Higgins seasons really would require like a Jamar Chase injury versus like Garrett Wilson, who I just think is going to be the alpha in a potentially exciting and improved Jets offense. Yes. Whoa, Jaden Daniels, indeed. Interesting team this guy's building. I mean, I don't hate doing this if you're in the one hole, because Jaden Daniels is very, very rarely going to go back at 48. So if you don't take Daniels here, you will have 0 Jamar Chase, Jaden Daniels teams, right? And maybe those 2 are like who you need. And it's not an unreasonable world that says week 17 hits and the highest receivers Jamar Chase and the highest quarterback is Jaden Daniels. Like that's not like an outlandish outcome. But if you take Daniels, if you never push Daniels up here, you will just never pair him with Chase. So I think it's something you do when you're, 150 maxing to get some weird teams. Or if you're doing a single entry and you are in a huge single entry and you're just trying to like really differentiate yourself. It's not what I would do with my single bullets. I would just try to build the best version of whatever slot I get. But I don't hate doing that. It also means there's a good chance we see Joe Burrow fall in this room, because he will very unlikely to go at 48 or 49. If he does, then I take back everything I said about this guy, and he doesn't know what he's doing. But I suspect, I suspect he has some kind of plan there. So let's see, Tiger Uppercut taking Marvin Harrison Jr. I like that. I like that selection. We're getting a huge discount on last year. I think a lot of the time we forget that players can actually improve. So yeah, no problems with that. No problem with that selection there. Lamar goes at 35. Let's pull up the board. So it's interesting to see Daniels and Lamar go ahead of Josh Allen. And personally, I think I would take those two ahead of Allen if I were just going, oh my God, this guy took Lamar and Allen. Dear God. Okay. So it is important now to remember we might be in a weird QB room. The guy who takes two QBs in 4 rounds is often the guy who ends with like 5 QBs or takes another elite QB. So we'll see. I'm not one to criticize people's constructions or ideas, but it just cannot be optimal to use that much draft capital on a position where only one can hit your lineup week 17. It just does not, it just cannot be right. And if it, it's not like you can't win with that lineup, but you are drawing so darn thin. Not high on Marvin Harrison, but don't want to have 0. Yeah, I don't think anyone's high on Marvin Harrison, right? And that's, that's why he's going there in the 3rd round. But he wasn't as bad as people remember, right? I think he had, I don't have it in front of me. I think he had like 850 yards or something like that. I don't think he hit 1,000. But like, normally for a rookie, we would be like, oh, this guy, he's going to break out next year. That was a great season. But because we had such monster expectations, and it's hard to adjust to the speed of the NFL. It's such a different game. All right, so Lazy Kid taking Hurts, who has Higgins, means that Burrow might really fall in this room, because now the Higgins guy and the Chase guy have taken him. So I am up. Let's see. I think I'm just going to take Devonta Smith and move on. This, not the most scintillating pick. I just think he's the best of this. I think he's the best of this bunch around here. Was a little tempted to take Chuba because I think he's the end of a tier of running back. But being that I already have Bijan, and let's see, I pick again at 70. There's usually somebody around there. Usually you can get like a falling Caleb. Although these new ADPs have adjusted a bit. Judkins there at 70. He used to be a little later than that. So I think my preference here would be Chuba. If I don't get Chuba, I might take the falling Zay Flowers. I don't find myself getting a ton of Zay Flowers, but on Flowers over Devontae, but either are fine. Yeah, I definitely see the argument there. This is a nice fall on Flowers, but I think in that range, I don't think I want to be fishing for another running back, having looked at it. If Judkins isn't there, then I really don't like the options. Yeah, Flowers is fine. Flowers is fine. We were taking him over here at the like 3-4 turn last season, and it didn't really pan out. But it's, getting the number 1 receiver on, a top 5 offense is never the worst thing, I would say. Especially if he's like your 3rd or 4th receiver. If you have to count on him every week, that's not great. Like I don't want him to be my number 1 receiver if I've gone like RB. I feel like I don't know, maybe that's wrong, but he's not my favorite receiver for like a lot of builds. I kind of want him to be like, oh wow, he's your 4th receiver, and maybe that's wrong, but that's just how I feel. So Sully Boy takes an unstacked Joe Burrow. My God. It takes all kinds. It takes all kinds. So, interesting room so far. No one doing anything too weird except for Gator heels. I'll be interested to see what he does. I'm sure Lazy Kid was hoping to get Devontae, but that would never have come all the way back around. Yeah. Yeah, it is a little weird of a room. I said it wasn't, but then looking at it, there have been some odd things happening here. You know what? I realized I did not put the ducks on, so let me fire them up. Jordan Addison, I definitely like the pick there. I know there's a little bit of fear with that pending DUI. I haven't heard anything new on that. I think that's just like he'll get suspended for 3 games if that gets resolved before the end of the season, because I think the NFL waits for the legal case on those to conclude, and that got pushed back a few times. And I know people were worried about that last year, and then it didn't happen. And hopefully if there is any kind of like suspension, it's earlier in the year than later. So feral footballer double taps RB, taking Henderson and Montgomery. You got to think there's not a lot of people who take Derrick Henry and TreVeyon Henderson. Like the Derrick Henry guy taking David Montgomery, that tracks. But then having Henderson is like, it's way out there. Wow, Gator Heels takes, my God. Now they go double elite tight end. So this person is a menace, an absolute menace. Don't know what they're going to do next. Godwin, yeah, I think Godwin is a great pick there. Good selection. He was just crushing last year before he got hurt, and I think last I heard was that the recovery, he was going to be fine for the start of the year. I haven't heard anything new in a long time on him, but yeah, solid team. A-Chain, Brown, Neighbors, Harrison, Addison, Godwin for you. Bijan, Chuba, JSN, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Smith over on this side of things. Yeah, so Quinton Judkins, Quinshon Judkins goes at 65. So my running back selection has really dried up. I find myself taking James Conner a lot as sort of like the last lifeboat in this range, and I do worry eventually he will fall off. I mean, he fended off Benson last year. We'll see if he's able to do that again. He was fairly good when healthy, but he wasn't lighting the world on fire. So we'll see. We'll see how long he sort of keeps that bell cow role in Arizona. I am coming up here. I am so out of Jerry Jeudy. I almost hope Sully Boy takes him so I'm not like tempted. I'm really not too excited about him. He takes Cooper Kupp at 69. My gosh. I don't think would take him at 100. I don't want to keep making the same team. I have a lot of Calvin Ridley, but I'm gonna take Calvin Ridley here. I think I just prefer him to those other options. He did well with Will Levis at QB, and Will Levis is so bad that if, assuming they add Cam Ward or anybody with a pulse, I think things are going to be better in Tennessee. So I'll add him to the room and then see what comes around. Where do we pick again? We are picking again at 94. So 94 is kind of QB country. And tight ends and quarterbacks frequently around there. Let's see. I think I'm going to take one more receiver, and I think I'm going to go for the upside, and I'm just going to add Luther Burden to the team. I think he's fine as a fifth receiver in this room. He's somebody that lately the draft buzz has had him falling. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I think he is a very polarizing player. You know, it seemed like he was always capable of more than what he put on tape at Missouri, but I think a team that knows how to utilize him or gives him a real opportunity, I got no problem taking him as a fifth receiver with potentially very high upside. Oops, I clicked the wrong thing. The room hates stacking QBs, wide receivers. Yeah, it's a weird room. Nobody wants to do that. And I've given myself a few outs here. Darnold is not too hard to get. Tennessee's tough because you're assuming it's Cam Ward, but you don't really know for sure. And then obviously don't know where Luther Burden is going. Garrett Wilson, you know, it used to be easy to get Justin Fields. His ADP is at 129, but very often there's someone who's like either sharp or perceives themselves as sharp and like reaches and grabs him. And he's a guy you can take unstacked. So he frequently does go unstacked. So we'll see. We will see. I don't think I want to take him all the way at 94. By ADP, he'd be there at 118, but I don't know if he'd be there in reality, especially with just some squirrely QB-ness. Like Gator Heels taking Lamar and Allen. Allen should be on another team, so you should have another team who doesn't need a QB, who now needs a QB. So we'll see. We will see. Egbuka, good pick. I almost took him in my spot. So far, nothing too crazy. I see you did pass on Baker. Yep. Yeah, sorry. I literally had nothing else to add there. Sometimes you have to make those decisions. It's like, do I want the fifth receiver or do I want the stack? And yeah, I see the arguments for both. So this guy, yeah, he snaps him off with to get him with Mike Evans. But again, it's like, do you really want to reach ahead of ADP to stack your fourth receiver? I don't think that's a must do at all. But yes, Kyler makes a lot of sense there for you. My best big board team last year was a Kyler McBride team. It was my one big board team that made it to the finals. And Kyler really kind of dudded in the finals, but McBride put the team on his shoulders during the playoffs. Thought I'd try pushing Baker. You never know. Yeah, no, I hear you. I don't think that was wrong at all. I think Egbuka, your wide receiver room feels pretty good now. Meanwhile, coming around to me, what do I want to do? Probably would not take a receiver in this range, and then I just have to decide if I want to take any of these quarterbacks or take a tight end. We will. Hockenson goes. Not much ADP value in this room. Like no real big fallers. No real big fallers on this. With this room here. Do I have any interesting ranks? Nope. I do not. See what old Sully Boy does. I think I just take Mark Andrews. Again, not every pick is going to be super galaxy brain, but I think him at ADP just makes sense for this team, which did not yet have a tight end. And now I can, again, really take any position I want And you could make an argument for anything. Do I want to pull somebody up? Let's see what Giants does. Yeah, not much there. I mean, sometimes the pick just kind of comes to you and you make it. I mean, I think Mark Andrews is actually a pretty big value around here because I think he's been unfairly maligned for that drop. Wow, Kirk is actually who I was considering reaching up to take. I think I'm just going to take Darnell Mooney. I mean, he's, again, not the most exciting picks here, but it does open up now. I could take Michael Penix later and have another backdoor stacking option. And the rookie wide receivers are always so exciting. And then you end up with like a boatload of this year's equivalent of Malachi Corley, who does absolutely nothing. But right now, like Jalen Knoll sounds so exciting, or Jaden Higgins. It's like, wow, I can't believe I'm getting this guy, in round 16 or round 15. And then like, they're not that good. They're like, last year I had so much pulp on New England, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe these rooms let me take, all this bulk, and he was so bad that I think this year with the running back class as highly touted as it is, that I do in some rooms want to take more of the veterans, even if they're not as exciting, and trying to like go crazy with the rookie receivers who like we saw, even with a sure prospect like Marvin Harrison, like still are going to have some kind of learning curve. So you are on the clock. Let's see what you are up to here. Winding down the clock, scrolling through. Who does Tiger Uppercut take? He takes Rashid Shaheed, a very adult pick. He's another guy I like as a 5th or 6th receiver, because the spike weeks are there, right? Obviously the meniscus injury, it is a little scary. I don't think Rashid Shaheed's in there at all. I actually think I think he's ranked pretty high in I have the leg up rankings in for DraftKings. These are very old Davis rankings that I have here. I just haven't updated them in a while. I think most of the people putting together rankings have him ahead of ADP. And, he was a guy last year that started to become more than just a spike week guy. Like he was getting, more than just those deep balls or manufactured stuff. Like he was earning targets before his injury. So I think with him, it's really injury concern more than anything else. I don't mind the pick. Charbonnet, that's a perfectly reasonable selection there. A-Chain Brown and Sharps. Nice contingent upside. I do have this worry in the back of my head about Ken Walker that it becomes more of a split, but they've never actually demonstrated that they're going to do that. So that I think that might just be pure vibes, or just projecting what you think a team should do versus what they actually do. But in those games that Charbonnet was the 1A, he was a smash last year. So Jake, let's see what good old Jake does. And waiting with bated breath for Jake to take it down. I mean, they really need to put auto drafters on the clock. It is so brutal that they do not do that. Because it just is such a waste of time. And the reason that they don't is apparently like it's a quote unquote bad user experience. And I'm like, it is a terrible user experience to be on the other end of it. So as much as I am a Cam Skattebo slappy, I think this team is calling for Justin Fields to stack with Garrett Wilson. So I'm going to take him. If I don't get Skattebo, so be it. I used Bijan and Hubbard. I have a lot of Skattebo, but I would love it if he came back around on this team. But yes, I now have at least completed the Fields to Garrett battery there. Yes, thank you. Yeah, Skattebo goes immediately at 119. So the problem here is now this running back room, or running backs available, are pretty disgusting. I think I'm gonna just take some more potential upside here and take Colston Loveland as my second tight end. And now I feel like I could potentially end at 2. I'm sure I'll add a third tight end late, but there was also an argument maybe I should have taken Penix in a room like this, which is like the QBs have been a little weird, but I think I'm going to need Justin Fields to not stink for this team to work. So I got to kind of act accordingly. I mean, I'll be honest, I take Skattebo over Sharps every time, but I am also a huge Skattebo slappy. It's not an anti-Sharps take. It's just I legitimately think he's good, and he is the kind of player who's going to carve out a role and just runs hard. Like I feel like he's like good Najee Harris, where you're like, oh, we didn't have any 40-yard runs, but it's like, yeah, but he also like has a lot of 12-yard runs where he like, you know, broke 3 tackles. Like, yeah, he might get run down from behind in the open field, but you know, what are you gonna do? You know, we can't all be Saquon Barkley. But yeah, I do like him. Tank Bigsby. Yeah, this whole range I just have such a hard time with. I think I don't really have much Bigsby or ETN, but I think if I was going to pick, I'd pick Bigsby. I mean, ETN looked so bad. Wow, this is very early for Higgins here. Oh my God, this guy, Gator Heels, the maniac. My God. My God, this team. Let's zoom out. Aaron Jones, Brian, oh my God, and he takes another running back. What are we doing? What are we doing here? Kamara, Jones, Brian Robinson, DeAndre Swift, Dylan Sampson. This is literally like my do not draft list. I am flabbergasted. Absolutely flabbergasted. Yeah. I don't even know what else to add. I got nothing. That is some just feral behavior. Yeah, I think JJ McCarthy. Oh yeah, you have Addison. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I knew you had a. I don't know why I thought you had Jefferson for a second. Yep, that pick makes sense. I think the whole like, I don't know who floated the Rodgers to Minnesota thing. Like, was that just the collective will of us best ball people? I think it would be really funny if he completed the Brett Favre arc. Was Rodgers actually interested in playing there? I mean, if I was a free agent quarterback, I would absolutely want to play in a dome, in a division with some crummy defenses, with Jefferson, Addison, and Hawkinson. I mean, I don't know what more you could want as a quarterback. So who knows if that came from that camp or where that originated. But I will take Penix if Sully Boy does not take him. If he does, I mean, my goodness, I might just take Bryce Young. No, I'm just going to take Michael Penix. I think he's a perfectly fine pick here. Again, it's not my preference to go out of my way to stack my QB with my 6th receiver, but I do like Michael Penix this year. I considered Kincaid, but he's no better than the late round tight ends. I don't know if I agree with that statement. The Kincaid industrial complex is one of the all-time excuse makers. Like, I've never seen someone who's had more excuses made for them than Dalton Kincaid. But I had a ton of him last year, and I've watched a lot of the Bills games, and I found myself agreeing with some of them. Like, there were a few times when he was like overthrown for some, like, that would have been like a 40-yard touchdown. I do think he actually was hurt. I don't think that was like total BS. Hold on, I am coming up and I am not 100% sure what I want to do here. If I want to, speaking of excuses, take a Kyle Pitts. I almost feel like I need a running back, but I don't really like any of these running backs. I could potentially take a Cam Ward. I could also take a Bryce Young and pair them with Hubbard. It's a little bit of a weird spot. I actually think I'm going to take Bryce Young. This might be bad, but there are a couple later receivers. Where did they all go? Coker went. Thielen. Okay. I'm like, Thielen and Coker used to go in the late 160s, and Coker went right before me, so that's a good job paying attention. Not great. I mean, I guess I could have taken Darnold. He was kind of staring me in the face, and pairing him with my QB1. Yeah, that would have been better. That probably would have been better than the old quarterback to running back pairing. But, in a vacuum, I actually prefer Bryce Young to Sam Darnold. I think Young was turning it around last year. He seems like he's gotten more freedom. I think he has a little bit of rushing upside now even. It might have been bad, though. That might have been kind of a panicky pick. Penix is good. It's easy to get boxed out at QB. Yeah. And I think when Justin Fields is my QB1, I really do want this to be a 3 QB team, and I want it to be 3 QBs. The other 2, I want to feel like they have some job security. Now, I don't know if Michael Penix and Bryce Young are the bastions of job security. Like, Kirk Cousins is still on the roster. There have been some weird grumblings about why that's the case. And obviously Bryce Young got benched for the immortal Andy Dalton, which seems bad. But I do think I would be surprised if Young got benched again. I hate everything here too. And honestly, Mr. Uppercut, I have no problem just reaching into the depths when we're in here, right? Like, the analogy is that we're at the auction draft and we're in the $3 range, around round 14, and our 20th round picks are the $1 players. So what's the real difference if you just take like RJ Harvey or GJ Giddens there over Rico Dowdle or Rachaad White? Like, I in a vacuum, I prefer these guys. I know what Rico Dowdle is. I know what Rachaad White is. And they're not that good. And they're not in very good spots. I mean, Dowdle now has been reduced to essentially, I think, pure contingent upside. I would be very surprised if it's any kind of split there. But, you never know. I could be wrong there. But to me at this point, I start taking guys that I actually like versus, ADP value. Once you get into the like late rounds is a little bit illusory, and I feel like can trap you into taking players that don't really fit your team. So I agree. This range feels so dusty. But I definitely need to start taking some running backs because I am not going to make it out alive if I only have Bijan and Chuba. Cade Otton makes sense. I think he's one of the few tight ends with true contingent upside. As we saw last year, something happens to one of the receivers, Cade Otton, definitely moves up the pecking order. That said, without an injury, he tends to not do a whole heck of a lot, but he's not a complete zero. So I don't mind. I don't mind Otton. I think he's perfectly fine. Lazy kid auto drafting, creating a absolutely god awful team. Hurts and Herbert, and then 7 running backs. Dear God, including ETN and J.K. Dobbins. This is brutal stuff. The annoying thing about the auto drafters is they do kind of suck up the ADP value in a room, which can be extremely frustrating. So Cooper goes. I think I just take Adam Thielen here. And now I have a little Carolina bet. I got Young, Hubbard, and Thielen. Thielen definitely could go hurtling off the age cliff into dust, but it hasn't happened yet. And I don't mind him at this point. I definitely might end at 7 receivers now, having taken him there. And now I just need to really hammer running back. I've been drafting a lot over on DraftKings, and so I'm a little more used to the landscape there. And RJ Harvey and DJ Giddens go in the 190s. So it's definitely a different beast. It's definitely a different beast here versus there. The rookies are a lot less valued than they are here on the dog app. So I'll take RJ Harvey. Don't feel amazing with him as my RB3, but you know what? We will figure it out. We will figure it out. All right. Jackson Dart goes. Yeah, let's check the quarterbacks. Yeah, the only starter left is Derek Carr and possibly Shedeur Sanders. I personally think Shedeur Sanders is going to start early, but opinions definitely vary on that. Let's see who Lazy Kid's going to get. Oh my gosh, unless he has position limits, he's going to get Rachaad White. My gosh. My God, I just don't understand autoing without rankings. If you want to set your rankings and then auto draft, I at least push the plane so that you don't hold up a room for 10 minutes on your own. But let's see. No, he takes fire mode, so he either has position limits or he has rankings. Look at that. Look at that Tiger uppercut. You were worried about your Rashid Shaheed pick, and Derek Carr comes falling into your lap. Good things come to those who wait, and that's just things have a way of working themselves out. So not too bad. Not too bad there. Let's see what Gator Heels. Oh my gosh, he took another running back last time. He took Grendo. Alec Pierce as your 4th receiver. And who else? My goodness. This room. Josh Palmer. I mean, he's built a stack with Allen and Palmer. So, he's got a plan. It might not be a great plan, but it is a plan. Baby, you can drive my car. That is what they are saying more and more in New Orleans. I was really hoping to do 2 of these But this has taken a very long time, and I will see. I will see when this starts wrapping up. I don't want to fire up another one when there's still 5 rounds to go. But this has been, the auto drafters are the greatest threat to Western civilization at this point, and we really need to be lobbying our Congress people to do something about it. Tyler Algier, I like him. Good pick there. One of the bigger contingent upside hits in the draft, I think, at 184. That's kind of a smash. Damian Martinez is who I would have liked to take there. Man, running back. Running back got gross in a room that I pushed running back to the end. I have only myself to blame. But here we are. And I'm just going to play the hits, take Brashard Smith. Or do I? Oh, gosh. I don't take very much Eckler. No, I'm not doing it. I like Eckler, but I don't think there's any contingent upside. I think he kind of has a job. It's a fine job, but it's not like I don't see him winning you a week, and I just have real trouble drafting him. I mean, they were working in McNichol last year. Daniels is going to run. Brian Robinson is fine, and I really think they might add another back. So that backfield could get pretty sketchy pretty quickly. It's not even like there's a fun tight end I can take here. This is just brutal. I'm out after this one. I think me too, Tiger. I think me too. But I do truly appreciate you coming by. It's always more fun to do these with someone else. And let's see. I'm just gonna take Jordan James. Again, not very exciting. Just playing the hits at these late round running backs, hoping to strike gold here with something. But again, when you take Bijan at 3, you're really saying this is going to be hitting my lineup, and then looking for one more spot. I do think I need to stop taking receivers. I love taking at least one of these late round dart throw receivers, but Jake is back. He stopped auto drafting enough to realize, Jake's not the auto drafter. Lazy Kid's the auto drafter. Lazy Kid with his 8 running backs. No wonder I don't have any. My God, Lazy Kid. I hope you set position limits, pal, and you get Demario Douglas here. Let's see. Oh, he must have rankings. All right, he takes Restrepo. It's fine. Snaps off Dalton Schultz. Yep, I mean, adult selection there. I think you're doing it right with your late tight ends. I think if you start in this like 160 range, you can't be taking Harold Fannin, and Arroyo, and Taylor as your room, because you might just be taking 0, 0, 0. So you do want guys who like have a job and will put up points. Yeah, that's where you're at. I think that's fine, and I think that's a perfectly reasonable way to build out your tight end room if you don't go elite tight end. I do like that it feels like there's a lot of ways to build. Like you can go elite tight end, or you can take one or two in that 100 range, or the 100 to 120, 130 range, like taking Andrews and Loveland, and then maybe take a third late, or just completely punt it off. I think there's arguments for each of them, but again, I think if Andrews catches that 2-point conversion, and the Ravens win, or they like lose in overtime, like where is he going? Is he going at 94.8? He's got to be like he must be being punished slightly. Like even if we were taking him in the 80s, like there must be some kind of tax like on his I guess tax is the opposite. That usually means you have to pay more, but we're getting some kind of discount because of that. And I just wonder how much it is. Like if I could, if I could ask, the almighty one question, it would be that. It would be, where should Mark Andrews be going if he caught that 2-point conversion? That would be the one question. All right. Let's see. Again, this is really the choose your own adventure portion at running back. Tight end got gross as well. Let's see what Sully, 4 QB Sully boy. Because anytime you have Burrow, Tua, and Darnold, what your team needs is Jackson Dart. I think I'm going to take Mason Taylor. I think, there's been I don't know why. I think I've seen him mock to the Jets before, and then I would have a little Jets thing. Predicting these rookie landing spots is a bit of a fool's errand, but I'm so agnostic as to which 2 running backs I get here. Like I just about don't care that I'll be a little annoyed if I wanted Taylor and then I pushed him. Aside from the 2-point drop, people are afraid of likely eating in more. That's always the fear. And that's just going to happen. It's just going to happen with Baltimore. Their whole offense is like, it can be a little unpredictable, and you're going to have games where someone disappears, whether it's Flowers or it's I'm going to take LaQuint Allen. I have not taken him in a long time because of the combine fiasco, but I don't want to have no LaQuint Allen in my teams I made later in the draft, so I'll add him in. But yeah, going back to that, there's definitely some of that, but that's been there for so long that I feel like that is baked in. If I remember right, we were taking Andrews in the 50s and 60s last season, and he got off to a slow start, but he did start to put it together late in the year. And then I think there was some fear that he might be a cut candidate, but I don't think that's actually in the range of outcomes anymore. I think he's staying put. So that's all a long way of saying I think Mark Andrews is fine, but certainly a tier below the one that ends at, I think the top tier ends at Kittle. I'm not saying Kittle is on the same level as Bowers and McBride, but I think there's a kind of a big gap after you get to Kittle and Laporta, and then once you hit Hawkinson, then you start. It feels anyway a lot flatter in the tight ends. Gosh, this lazy kid just absolutely sapped the life from this room. Andy takes one of my favorite picks, Jack Vetch. My God, he's being rewarded for that just feral behavior of not clicking the plane. It takes less than a second to just save. There's 11 other people in this room. 10 minutes. That's just nearly 2 hours of time collectively wasted by not auto drafting, not clicking the plane. It is truly a crime against your fellow community. Feral footballer taking Daniel Jones. My gosh. Tyler Lockett. What do people do late in these drafts? They just lose their minds. Gator heels. 2882. The old 2882. This is the worst wide receiver room. This is awful. This is so bad. Like, what are you doing here? And this person has a red badge, so they've done this 1,000 times. Like, my understanding is that once you do something, it's like, 10,000 hours to become an expert. But surely after 1,000 hours, you should be able to do better than this. I don't know. Tiger uppercut taking Taysom Hill, the fourth tight end, the sneaky upside. Watch this. Yes, I see what you did there. You're not going to find too many tight ends with 35 point upside, and Taysom Hill is one. I wish he was healthy. Because then we could be taking him in the in the 120s where God intended. But unfortunately we're not. And let's see, who do we take here? This is just such an ugly room. I'm gonna take Donovan Edwards, former NCAA football cover boy, who was absolutely awful. But I just have this greasy theory that maybe Harbaugh in Los Angeles wants his Michigan guy, because he randomly gets enamored with Michigan players. And so who the heck knows? Maybe he really loves Donovan Edwards and says, come home, I can fix you. I will make it all better. But Mr. Uppercut, thank you for joining this draft. To everyone else, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, it just disappeared. It is gone. Couldn't even go over the team. I guess I can if I click this and find it. That was a little dramatic. Okay. Going over the team. Why am I doing it this way? What is happening? Okay. We have Justin Fields, Penix, and Bryce Young at QB. An RB room of Bijan, Chuba, and then 5 rookies of Harvey, Brashard Smith, Jordan James, LaQuint Allen, and Donovan Edwards. I see a lot of zeros in my future there. Wide receiver room of JSN, Garrett Wilson, Devonta Smith, Calvin Ridley, Luther Burden, Darnell Mooney, and Adam Thielen. And a tight end room of Mark Andrews and Colston Loveland. So, yeah, I think it was kind of a fun RB approach. I don't build a ton of teams like this, but it is kind of a multiple anchors RB situation. So, anyway, could work or not. But again, thank you so much for stopping by. I wish I could run another one, but this one really did take longer than I hoped, and I think I only have about 30 minutes, and that will not be enough time. So thanks to everyone who stopped by. If you can, please like and subscribe. Otherwise, I will see you all again during the week. Take care, everyone.